Okay, YouTubers.
Okay, people of YouTube.
Okay.
Okay,
Mr. Mayor.
you want to play
talking to
that
me?
way?
Do you want to talk surf? I talk you surf. Do you want to talk surf? I talk you surf real good.
Okay.
Okay, Mr. Mayor.
You got baby glue on my shoes. These shoes. You puke on these shoes?
Puke on these shoes?
You got baby glue on my shoes.
That's pretty good. I've been watching The Sopranos.
No, that's De Niro, but
I know. What's
Still.
it? Oh, from
All right, let's do this.
super bad. Or no, knocked up.
These shows?
these shoes. You
These
want to talk surf?
These shoes.
It's pretty good.
You puke on these shoes.
How good is De Niro in The Intern?
Not seen that.
It's so good.
That's like Owen Wilson.
I wish. All
right.
He plays like a 60-year-old intern.
I'm just laughing.
You can go whenever.
All right, YouTubers. Today we're talking surfing and relationships. Examples of trips you've gone on, that we've gone on, executed with bringing a girl, or lack thereof. And then the next topic is there a place for policing the lineup with violence and or yelling at people? Those are the things we're going to cover today on YouTube.
Get it, Ty.
That was good. I feel like I got proper barrel on that one.
I think you did.
Do that.
These shoes. You puke on this barrel?
It really is pretty good.
I can do pretty good imitations. We'll get through them.
Imitations are an art.
Surfing and relationships. Do we want to do that first, or we want to talk about the lineup?
Let's talk about violence.
Aggro
Yeah.
lineup
get
situations.
aggro first.
Let's get fucking aggro.
Aggro Crag.
Well, the most I don't know that I've been a part of like really aggro shit,
You've
but
told me that one story when you were in California that was pretty aggressive.
about just like people yelling at the one guy with his like daughter. On two occasions I've had.
Whoa, there's a daughter involved?
Yeah, no.
It was a massacre.
Cop, a lady, and a guy. It's like a massacre. So, a cop, a lady, and a guy.
All right.
So, I've had two instances that involve daughters and like guys pushing their little daughter into a wave.
Anika?
No, well, in
those two
California
little girls.
first, years ago, and this guy was like, "What are you looking over the ledge for?" Like, because he was pushing his daughter in.
You are always looking.
No, I'm not to me. No, I am looking, but it wasn't to me. It was someone else. Like, was looking to see if this little girl made the section and made the drop. And this guy yelled at him, "Don't insinuate that my daughter might not have made that drop."
Oh my God.
Which was just ridiculous. I mean, he was obviously. It's like a tense thing. Like people bring their I don't know. This girl was maybe 10, 11. It's kind of like. That's a tense situation, but so that one was like kind of tense, didn't escalate that much. I think a more recent, more aggro one was this Brazo guy pushing his daughter into like 6-foot hollow trees, like HTs as the Australians say. HTs. But it was a bit. It was big. I mean, it was stand-up tubes. There was guys out there that were ripping, like just huge punts. Like it was no joke. It was probably like 8-foot sets. Like I was nervous. And this guy was pushing his little Brazo daughter into bombs. And people were like, "What the fuck, man?" They were like, "What are you doing?" Like you like he would just do it, and then he'd go, and then like both of them would get back up to line up, and he'd like push her in again. Like there was just no etiquette, and they were just like doing this. And like it's kind of hard because you can't yell at a little girl, right?
Yeah.
Like, hey, tell your dad not to push you in on the next one.
Yeah, like it's a weird situation. That's a weird one. But people were getting pissed, and they were like yelling at him. But then there's like the Brazo like language barrier thing. Got pretty heated.
Was everybody part of the same camp?
No, I mean there was it's
Boats were there.
boats,
Land campers.
multiple camps. Yeah.
Yeah, right. So wait, was there an
No,
exchange?
no fisticuffs, just yelling.
Yeah.
Just yelling. But those are like extreme examples. I mean, we've had some of it
Well,
around
Ty,
here.
speaking of instances where guys are out there with their daughter, do you remember I think it was like the first time you rode your new fish. We were surfing in beat, and that guy's daughter was out there, and you almost nailed her.
What? I don't remember that.
Remember, it was
course you
like it
don't.
was small.
Yeah.
It was super clean. It was early on a Sunday morning, and it was just you and
Oh,
I.
yeah.
And then like some other dude on a mid-length paddled out.
Yeah.
And we were getting these fun, tiny little left-handers clean.
Yeah.
And that guy paddled out, and he was like kind of like an adult learner himself. And he was kind of just watching me and you like
Yeah.
kind of like loop waves. And I think his daughter was on a boogie board, and he like had her go, and then you went on a left, and like I don't know if he like tried to like hit the lip like kind of in front of her, or, like near her. Whammy! and I remember looking, I could like see your board like kind of like shoot up off the rail and like come back down like karate chop style. And like I could see her on the other side of the whitewater. Do you remember that?
It must have not been that close of a call. It probably looked like it from where you were, but
It
like,
was from where I looked, it was close, but I remember you
I don't
paddled
know.
back out, not very concerned.
hey, I remember that. What I remember about that day was getting like one of the best tubes of my life. And it was like 2 foot, but it was like we were like just dropping in, backdooring these perfect little wedges.
Yeah.
That's like, those were one of the days where I'm like, I like small wave surfing way better than like even
That was
high
like
days.
those are like perfect. Those were perfect small waves.
Yeah, it was.
I was riding another little fish, but I don't think.
You experienced any crazy shit
So
in
do you
Hawaii,
think
Drew?
Ty should have gotten his head?
Yeah, the dad should have.
Busted it.
The dad should have punched his fins out. That'd be sick.
That's like such a thing. Like you hear a lot about that in history because there were glass-ons, and it's like if
Yeah,
a guy
man.
punched my
Board's
fin
done.
out today, like Futures like FCS, like the like fin plug will pull out, and that sucks. But I feel like Futures are like pretty tough. Like it's gonna be hard to like rip that whole fin.
I don't
box
think
out.
the new FCS do that. I
Really?
think they're just as good as
Well,
Futures.
you know what's interesting about that, since we're on this, having been like in a situation where I had to learn how to repair a lot of my own boards, the Futures system is a lot easier to replace because it's just one unit.
Yeah.
So like
And it's more squared off.
It is.
Not
It's-
like that U or kind
Yeah.
of figure eight. Shape.
yeah, like if you've got to get in there with like a small like paring knife and etch out the shape of an FCS fin box, it's like I don't know, you're like
Just
Picasso in there or something.
So my board, I looked at it the other day. I don't think I showed it to Pete, but it's got like spider cracks by the fins, and I was like, oh man, is this fin box gonna rip out? But like, I'm sort of hoping that like it's fine just because it's Futures and it's like a bigger fin box.
Yeah, there's
it takes
more-
more to
there's more engagement
surface area.
between the glass and the foam.
Yeah,
With the whole like surface
more
area of
surface
the
area.
Futures.
Yeah, so I think
box.
they're stronger.
Yeah.
from that perspective.
I'm trying to think of some of the more like gnarlier violence that I've seen. You know what I've seen? You know where I found it to be really crazy? So I did a West Coast road trip. I like flew into San Francisco, targeted a swell in Santa Cruz, surfed in Santa Cruz. Then I saw that there was like a good south, like a little south swell. It was like a springtime, so it could have gone either way. And I went down to Lowers, and I got waves at Lowers, surprisingly like not very crowded. I was with my buddy Dylan DeVesti, and we surfed with my sister's boyfriend Jake down at Lowers, and it was empty. It was sick. And then we drove back up to Santa Cruz because there was another like kind of like west-northwest swell or something. And we were with Max Schultz, and he moved out there from here back a few years ago, and he had like an old like Mercedes wagon with New Jersey plates on it. And we pulled up to the steamer lane, and like we were getting hassled like hardcore, like unnecessarily. Like there was like 50 guys in the water already. The surf was a little bit slow, so I can understand like they just don't want more people in the water. but like there was no reason to be hassling us. We just pulled up in the car, right? And I remember being like, this is a little like unnecessary.
Excessive.
Fortunately, I had a 5 mil with a hood So like at Steamer Lane, you like walk out the point
Yeah,
and
they
you jump
didn't know
off.
who you were by the time you got out there.
Exactly. So like most people like Matt, he doesn't give a shit. He doesn't care if he's getting hassled or if people are burning him, he'll burn
Probably
right back.
desensitized to it at this point.
Yeah,
He's been living out there with Jersey plates.
And that's how it seems. Like he is totally. He did seem totally desensitized and just didn't give a fuck either way. And I remember I just paddled out and just kept my hood on and like ended up getting a few good waves, but like it was pretty heavy there.
Dude, Santa Cruz was where I got yelled at before even being allowed to paddle out.
Really?
That was
Yeah, Phil, you probably haven't heard this story.
No.
So me and Satch decided to go out there a couple days before going to San Francisco, or I think like 2 days prior that we were all planning on meeting in San Francisco, me and a bunch of my friends. And we go to Santa Cruz because like, all right, we'll get like a 2 days of like surf before we go to San Fran, which is going to be like more just partying than it was surfing. So we went out there. We got an Airbnb. Steamer Lane and Pleasure Point were literally knee high. And then out in front of our Airbnb was a chest high, really zippy right that looked so fun. And we had a rental car. It was like, I don't know, Arizona plates, I think. And we got fully in our wetsuits. We grabbed our boards and we start walking towards like the little goat trail to get down there. And there's like, think 3 guys in the water, 1 guy on the beach, and 1 guy in the parking lot. And all at once they were like, no fucking way.
Whoa.
Get out of here. Don't even think about it. Every single one of them. There was like 8 of them. And we just were like, okay, like we literally can't paddle out now. I mean, what is that going to result in? Like
a physical conflict.
Yeah, it just wouldn't have been fun. And so we were like really like just absolutely dejected. And it was kind of ridiculous. It was like, what? I mean, I get it, but at the same time, I said to him, we should have parked back at our Airbnb, which was like, I don't know, 200 yards down the road, and just walked up. And like, would that have been any better? Like, was it that they didn't know us? Or was it they saw Arizona plates?
Who was out there, like Rat Boy?
Well, like after the fact, I think like
because I saw Rat Boy while I was there too, and I like saw a little wave that he seemed to be surfing by himself. It could have been the same one.
Yeah, but like Skin Dog and Rat Boy,
Skinny.
like afterwards, I think Bobby like commented on his thing, and he's like on his Insta post, and he said, I think it was, I don't know if it's Skin Dog or Rat Boy, one of them, but he goes,
nicknames.
he was just
Santa
like,
Cruz.
he said something like the post was sort of like about localism in Santa Cruz and like making sure that like too many people don't surf there. And Bobby was just like, I'll never surf there. It's a terrible beach like terrible surf culture. Like everyone is like super mean. And then he like took the post down. And I think he like got a lot of flack for it because like they're just too extreme there.
Yeah, it might be just like,
but kind of like if you're local there and like that's how it is, that's kind of sweet.
yeah,
Like, you don't have all these random people just berating your lineup, ruining it.
Yeah, especially if you grow up there.
Yeah.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Because you just grow up knowing that's the way it is, and it's not like some new hostile environment you jump into. That's just the norm.
No, but if you grow up there, it's not hostile for you. It's only hostile for outsiders.
I'm saying you're used to it by that point.
Yeah.
so you guys turned around and didn't surf.
No, we got back in our car and like, all right, this sucks. Like,
Yeah, and that's just because you're
there was like 6 or 7 guys,
Well,
and
you're
like
not worried
they
about-
all said
you're
no.
not actually worried about getting in a fight at that point. You're just worried about the hassle of potentially having to talk your way out of a fight. You know, it's just like
I thought back on it and I was like, I should have just said, look, we're in town for one day. We're from New Jersey. Like, we surf okay enough. Like, we're not going to be in the way. We're not kooks. Like, not entirely. Like, we can surf. Just let us get like a couple waves each.
Yeah, we
We're
just
outta
want a
here.
few.
We'll never be back here again. Like,
Stop
just,
being a dick, man.
we don't have cameras.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, you know what's funny is that like in conflict in surfing, like whether it be like in the lineup or like in the parking lot or whatever, you never think to just like have that super mature adult conversation at the time.
It's true.
Where you're just like, hey, listen, man, like I'm here for one day.
Yeah.
I just want to get like 2 waves. I actually surf all right.
Yeah. Just,
And like I'm not going to burn any of you guys if you guys don't burn me, and I'm not going to go around telling anybody about where I surfed this afternoon.
Yeah. It only occurred to me like after the fact, but in the moment, yeah, it's like very tribal and like almost child. It's like barbaric.
It is. And you could just say, like, imagine you snuggled up to the guy in the parking lot and you got super compassionate and you were like, hey man, like I respect the hostility because I know what the intentions are and I know how it's like a natural, you're taking a stance that's natural and I get it. I kind of do the same thing at home. Maybe you don't. And then you just be like, I really just want to go out there and get a wave with my friend.
Yeah, like let us have 2 waves each. Like, I would think like how would he respond to that? Like
you'd have to be like, oh, okay, well, since you put it that way,
yeah,
go out there and get a few.
You'd like to think so, but then it's also like a lot of like just tatted up like drug addict type people.
Yeah. Santa Cruz has some personalities like that. That it could be very questionable in that situation.
Yeah, but I mean, I also had a weapon as a friend.
Yeah, right.
So like, he was pissed. Like I mean, but granted, there's like 7 or 8 guys. Like, yeah,
I'm trying to think like from their perspective, right? Like, I've said it before. Like, I like to be the person in the water having the most fun. But I've definitely had my moments where I can be hostile.
Yeah.
Like
less lately, but you used to yell at people all the time.
I did. And like if I was standing on the seawall looking at the waves and some kids pulled up with like out of state plates or whatever. And they were like, hey, like, and I was like, yeah, I should go surf somewhere else. You freaking jerks, you come blowing up our spot. There's an element of like, there's a mutual respect, and there has to be. Like, you pull up to a spot and you're from out of town, like, you keep to yourself.
Yeah.
You know, you just go out, you just be respectful in your entire approach.
It's just tough. I mean, it was like a slow, like one stomach to chest high wave every like 5 minutes, like, regardless of how respectful you are, like you're taking my precious resource. Like that's what wars are waged over.
It's true.
Like why
that's
are we
weird
in Iraq?
like in a place like Santa Cruz that gets waves a lot of the year to be that hostile. Like there's not many places around the world that are that have that stigma of being so aggro.
True.
Yeah, and it's funny because like you if there are, you kind of avoid them.
They're all
like there's plenty of good spots. Like I'm not gonna die to go surf a chest high wave and
that's why
unknown spot.
That's why I've never been keen to go to like Hawaii.
Well, I was gonna bring that up. Like Ty, you mentioned in our group text like the other day, like you're not that interested in going to surf in Hawaii or like maybe specifically the North Shore.
Well, no, I think like other areas of Hawaii I've heard are just worse.
I mean. I don't think it's fair to say that places are worse than others, right? If you paddle out and you piss people off, there's gonna be repercussions.
Yeah,
anywhere you
definitely.
go, you know, and like in Hawaii, like I think because it's dangerous. Like when waves are more dangerous, like when your Brazilian guy was pushing his daughter in at HTs, like it's almost like. You want to say something to dude pushing his daughter into the wave because now your attention's on the girl rather than like it should be on yourself. Like, or like you're worried about what's going to happen to her when she runs out of like whitewater or whatever. Like,
well, and just in general, it's just, I've always thought Hawaii's a good example of this. It's more about the danger of it. Like getting dropped in on was like the danger, like the drop and hurt around the world that we talked about in episode 1. Like Andy dropped in on me. I broke my board and got like hurt my arm and like I was bleeding and ripped my wetsuit. Like it's the danger of the thing that I think it's a combination probably of like get off my wave in Hawaii and like this is dangerous. You shouldn't be out here.
Yeah.
So I mean.
But let's try and think of some. I agree. I think I think with Hawaii, especially specifically North Shore. I think West Side, like Makaha, like that area. It's kind of like you don't really go over there. People like just tend to not go there because it can be your car. Something might happen to your vehicle, or like I don't know.
I think Rich like surfed there the whole time he was on Oahu.
Yeah, people. It's not like I don't know. I don't think it's as I think the stigma, the local Hawaiians on like the west side would prefer the stigma to remain that way while not having to act.
Yeah.
You know, that'd be pretty ideal. Maybe like the Santa Cruz guys, bigger bark than bite.
Yeah.
But let's think of any violence, because obviously, like, there is room in surfing for, like,
A little bit of violence.
I think more so like verbal, maybe like verbal hostility. If somebody needs to be told to told off, I think that's perfectly reasonable.
I agree.
Obviously, physical violence in any situation is never the answer, right? I mean,
It's just not a good idea.
you might think so when you're 17, 18 years old and like full of testosterone, but when you're older and like you just, that goes away.
Right.
When was the last time we saw something violent? We saw a few instances last year via different surf social media with Mikey Wright and Jesse Mendez.
Yeah.
And then we saw on the North Shore, I think
it was Michael Rodriguez and
one of the boys from Maui.
Yeah.
And that like got physical.
Yeah. I mean, I do think it's just it has to be a building thing for it to get that way to where it's like you dropped in on me or you faded me like 5 times.
Right.
This is clearly there's the intent here is malicious.
Yeah, like this is personal.
Yeah, it's not a one-off like this guy dropped in on me like, all right, dude, like don't do that again. Like it's if they do it again, then it's like, all right, this is like, what are you getting at? Why are you? And then it gets. But still, I mean, like I've never started a fight. I've been in like 2 or 3 fights, like more so like defending Andy, who can't be here today. But I got in a fight that he started. But I can't remember other ones. But generally, I'm not confrontational. I mean, even when people get in my way, I honestly am more like, if nobody gets hurt, it's fine. And I don't really yell at people, although I probably should like yell at like kooks who are in the way and like kids and be like, look, but I always just end up thinking like, I was that kid at one point, like in the way, like little Grom, like didn't really know what to do. Yeah. But I probably got yelled at a couple times as a Grom. Like,
sometimes you get faded or burned, like almost like a little bit by accident. And like you feel like you're entitled to say something, but then like if you like take a step back from the situation and like look at what you're doing, like you're like, well, I wasn't going to get like the best barrel of my life on that wave anyway. Yeah. So what does it matter?
Yeah. You're like, as long as I get a wave, I don't really care.
Yeah. And I mean, Tyler's like the burn hurt around the world. Like if that was really going to be the best tube of your life, then which it seems like now because of how ingrained it is in your head, then I guess I can understand why, you know, in that situation, given like Andrew wasn't a friend of yours or whatever, you could rightfully like say something.
I think it's generally like a good practice to just, if everyone in the lineup is all feeling the same way about a certain move, a certain person, like they've paddled around a couple of times, then you say something. Yeah. If it happens once, maybe twice, like
what's been your experience?
And it's only
you've been in a lot of like world tour sites, and you've been in a lot. I mean, you've surfed a lot of different regions. Like, I mean, even though Drew is like spending a lot of time in Indo and Samoa, like those are like, all right, and Fiji too. But like you've been in a lot of like, you've been South Africa, you've been Bali, you've been Costa. Like,
I've never had like a bad experience. I've had like everywhere you go, that's a big spot. Has like some form of localism and is super intense at times. Like I'm thinking especially like Sri Lanka right now.
Really?
It's super crowded, but I think that's just like a cultural thing where there's just way too many people on waves at all times, and people are teaching and
because it's kind of user friendly, but also could be an experienced surfer's wave.
Right.
It's like a mushy reef break.
It kind of like combines 2 worlds of capabilities, doesn't it?
But I think in a lot of areas, there's not a lot of confrontation because I think the vibe is more kind of happy that surf culture has brought like an industry to these areas. Yeah. So localism kind of understands that like, hey, this is my lifestyle. I'm a surf instructor or run a business from people coming here to surf. Like I'm not going to start yelling at everyone to get out of here. That hurts the business. That hurts like my friends' businesses. So there's never any of that localism, but there is, I think, more of a group mentality around people that are just obvious dicks that, don't talk to anyone in the lineup, have like a straight face. They get their waves. Like
they're the worst.
Yeah. And there's plenty of those, like everywhere you go.
I wanted to comment on something that I thought what you were going to mention when you first started saying that, about everybody sharing the same sort of feeling and the vibe in the water. You know what I think goes a really long way in any lineup, anywhere you are in the world, is, communicating. If you're surfing somewhere
going left.
Yeah. Or are you going to go left?
Yeah.
Or, are you going to catch it? Or
are you? Can you paddle faster? You little nerd.
Think you got it?
That's such an insinuation.
I've found in a lot of my experiences, whether it had been
are you gonna catch this thing or what?
in the water with guests or like on my own travels,
you going?
Like, are you going or no? The polite way is like, do you like this one? You know what I mean? Or if you're the guy who's up, right, and a set wave comes, but you don't like it.
Yeah.
Common practice, put your hands up, let the wave go under you. Like literally, like if you're sitting out the back and a set wave comes and you don't really like it, or the second one's going to be better, so that you don't trip up anybody who's underneath you or like next up in line, or they might be looking for that wave. Common practice would be to put your hands up, paddling over the back of it. Like as you approach the wave or whatever, position yourself for the next one. Just lift your hands up so the people down the line know you're not going to go and they can make an effort to get that wave. I think, like in my experiences, whether it been like like while I was managing surfing with guests, or if I was just like in my own travels surfing somewhere where I like hadn't known anybody in the lineup, or if I was surfing with friends, like I really think it's easy to avoid any sort of conflict if you communicate like concisely and just like a little bit of a playful manner, but also like to the point. Like, like there's not a lot of time between like that wave and standing,
Or if you chat with people and be like, that one was sick. Like, did you get barreled on that one? And you just talk to them about like your wave looked like that wave looked good. How was it? Like,
and then you talk to them and keep them looking at you while you look past them and just
oh, nice one. Cool. I mean, no, but
that definitely happens. Sometimes like people who are too chatty in the lineup miss so many waves.
Kelly.
Yeah.
They'll talk you and then like, I'm gonna get this wave. Yeah. But everything you were saying was like, all I could think was that's so much more of a thing at a reef or a Point Break when like the thing is coming in and the takeoff spot's pretty much the same every time, and you can see it coming from a little ways out. Anything that's like more of a shorter period beach break, it's like you can't see the good waves until they're like right there, and then it's like, you going? Like versus like you see it a ways off and be like,
hey, are you gonna
I'm not gonna go on this one, like have fun, like
enjoy. I love saying that. Enjoy this wave, enjoy this gift,
enjoy fucking Jules.
Enjoy this gift,
enjoy your remaining years.
But I think that avoids a lot of conflict if you can communicate in any capacity. You're going right?
You're going right. You're going right.
Right? But I think that's good practice for anybody who's like concerned about being in the way.
You're going right.
or like getting in the way, or if they don't really know the rules about who's kind of up for the next wave, is literally just communicate it. I think
you can't go wrong over communicating.
You can't, right?
Never.
It's just like success 101.
Unless you just don't shut the fuck up. Definitely had guys just keep talking.
And then you miss waves,
dude. Come on.
You don't want to be one of those guys either.
I've definitely had, like, I can think of like, probably just because I spent the most time there, like in Costa. Definitely had instances where I like felt like I was like, you always feel like, some guys who are clearly locals giving you a bit of a stink eye. And that's even where I'm sort of brown and like could be a local, but clearly like it's a small community and they know everyone who's an actual local. So like I could also just, I don't know, be a Brazilian or from a different country or something. Even if they think I'm brown and Hispanic, like they give me stink eye and they like paddle around me and just like keep getting all the good ones. And I'm just like, all right, that's annoying. But you know, when they're clearly locals, there's only so much you can do about it. You kind of just have to, I don't know, you just have to deal with it. I mean, you're not going to burn them, or at least I would never. You just have to wait, pick off a couple of insiders, and hope like the next good session, that same crew or that same guy isn't out there.
Yeah. Paddle in shifts. If you have the ability to like times, like right. So let's say you have the luxury of being self-employed like yourself, Phil. And you know Tyler is going to be getting out at 8:45 because he's got to get to the office by 9, right? If you are aware that conditions are going to stay the same or even improve, I think it's
how rare is that?
Super heady to like be like, okay, well, I know this first shift of guys who paddled out at daybreak is going to be out of the water to get breakfast to go to work by 7:45, right? And then that's the shift change. Those guys who work for them, you know, like conscientiously, you go out there when the crowd thins, you see 3 or 4 guys get out. Then you know what? The 3 or 4 guys who have been sitting on the wall watching the waves for the longest, that's a good opportunity. That's a good time for you guys to go. I think if you can kind of work that in to like your scheme, you tend to have less of those aggro encounters overall.
Yeah. Well, I think that kind of goes back to kind of the way you travel as well.
Sure.
Because I would always do that. For example, one spot in the Maldives, the local boys from Male have like a nice wave there that was shut down when they were building a new bridge. So the government actually would send a boat from Male to jails and some other spots so they could surf while it was getting built.
That's chill.
So it was known.
Our government was like that.
Because I was staying there for a couple months. Like I would avoid those times.
So you knew when the Mali boat was coming.
Exactly. And it wasn't just because it was a drop of like 30 people in at one time, but it was because I had the whole day to surf there.
Yeah.
So I'm like, hey, you take your waves, even if it's shittier during my time. Like I'm not chomping at the bit to get the perfect hour, you know. I'm here for a month or 2.
Is that wave on Male like the water's really like kind of green and it's behind like a huge screen? So it almost looks like a beach break.
It kind of is.
Yeah, what's the screen? I've seen that wave.
Screen, I don't know about.
Maybe I'm thinking that was for the construction that you're referencing. Because when I was there was like a big netting almost cutting off the surfing beach, but like on either side of it, you could see guys over there, and it was like a really fun looking beach break.
Yeah, it's a heavy beach break.
Yeah. It looked fun.
I've never surfed it, but
what is that net for? Like catch falling debris? I
almost thought like that it was because it's a Muslim country, right? I thought maybe like it was like they don't want people to see them in like their bathing suits kind of thing. I thought maybe like that was the vibe. Yeah, like
a non-Sharia law enforced beach or something.
Well, they have those on all the public islands, or the local islands, because basically it's local and resort islands.
Yeah,
and every local island has a bikini beach of probably like 100 meters.
Yeah,
where they have like green screens on the side,
where you hear a lot of the bushes rustling when the Westerners are there in their bikinis. Jesus. They live for that. The bushes are just like just a bunch of.
That's a good segue into surfing and relationships. Examples of trips with your chick.
There's no room for violence in surfing.
Or lack thereof, girls while you're on the move.
Yeah.
Yeah. Violence is not the answer.
All right.
Let's agree that you can verbally say something.
Yeah, but also don't be a dick. You know, be like, hey, hey, you little fucking kook, get out of here. Like, you suck. Just be like, hey, so
Hey, kid.
you're not supposed to be paddling here when I'm here. Like, just be more cognizant of that next time. Like, just be polite and like be stern.
Yeah.
You know,
Make your point.
you're not supposed to do that. Like,
Communicate.
yeah, it's another over communicate. Like, this is what you should do. This is what you shouldn't do.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, communication.
Let's work on it, gang.
Yeah, communicating with girls also is a task.
Are you talking from personal?
In regards to surfing?
Not me
or
personally,
all
but a
fans?
guy I know. This guy down
So what
by
did
the
we want to
river.
discuss in this?
I've got a lot in this. I thought this was your topic, Drew. Right? So
Yeah, I drew this one up because I recently went on a trip with my girlfriend, but
how was that? Tell us about that.
Tell us your feelings.
we went to Nova Scotia. It was
Nova Scotia.
Nova Scotia.
It was fucking cold.
No, it was September. It was like the warmest it gets there.
Okay.
I went with my girlfriend. We drove up and then took the ferry over and then had my truck up there loaded up with the tent and the surfboards and
Dope.
yeah, the wood and the whole nine.
feral.
There was swell. So I was there from like a Thursday to the following Sunday. And there was swell both weekends. It worked out really nicely. My girlfriend's super flexible and like she just cares to be camping at the end of the day.
She's a yogi.
Yeah, she's a bit of a yogi.
Super flexible.
So what's the question here, Ty? Should
No.
you have a girlfriend or not?
No, I mean, well,
No,
it's
like,
Drew's thing. It's just what's that dynamic? It's different, right? Like,
so
yeah.
so like here's the crux of it with my thing with her and I is like she just wants to be outside and at the end of the day like set up the tent and camp like on or near the beach. So like for me as a surfer that's pretty ideal because like you know I could take her down every nook and cranny in Nova Scotia, which I did. You bet your ass. I gave that place a very thorough going over.
yeah, you did.
That does sound good.
So thorough. He was very thorough. This nook and cranny? You taking this nook and cranny?
So and that included like going down some dirt roads and like crossing my fingers that the wind was offshore at this one little corner and that there was enough swell getting in there and that didn't work out. And it was like back in the truck, back up the dirt road. And that kind of weighed on her, I think. And it was like,
Yeah.
it was a lot of driving and looking for waves.
Tension.
Not too much tension. Not too much tension.
The tension in the air.
But I would say like, dude, you really got to figure out how to balance like that hunt, like the real hunt of like checking every nook and cranny.
Yeah.
And just like kind of like conceding and just like paddling out to the waves you know it's going to be good or like where there's going to be swell in that kind of surf trip environment. I mean, dude, surfing takes a toll on any like relationship, right? Whether it be with your family,
Friends.
or with your friends or with a significant other or whoever, right? Like, look what we're doing here right now. Like, you know, we're here podcasting, talking about surfing because we like doing it. It's kind of like our little social gathering. We do this instead of like play cards or darts, right?
Yeah, watch football.
Or watch football, exactly.
Yeah.
And you know, Philly, you said it when we first started. Like your boys' relationships are going to take a, you know, it's going to be. I feel bad for you guys in relationships. It's going to be tough, you know. And like, it's not that it's tough, but I think because it's super important, it's understood, right?
Phil's single AF for all you honeys out there.
Cool
For our female listeners.
boys.
For our female listeners.
For our female listeners,
Phil is as he so sensually laid out for us about 6'1", 185, brawny, dark hair, dark
Put
skin.
some special effects sounds on this.
He's got the Mediterranean olive skin. He's a bit of a traveler, but if you can keep up, the benefits are endless.
oh my god, that was good. Ty, tell us about some of the surf trips. How does surfing
Expectations.
How does surfing impact your relationships as far as traveling for surf goes?
Well, yeah, I think you're an interesting subject,
My
Ty,
brain
because your
hurts.
girlfriend isn't doesn't like the beach, but she didn't grow up on like in a beach environment, right?
Yeah. So
doesn't surf or anything.
So I think this is like crazy, but a lot of this is just she's super fair skinned, so the beach is like a death warrant for her. So she's like not super keen, and she went to she went to Miami for college. And she like feels like she got all the beach time she needed, and so she's sort of over it. Like she's really into skiing, so she wants to go on ski trips. And I grew up snowboarding a good amount, like going up to Vermont like every other weekend or so. And so I'm like just sort of sick of snowboarding. To me, it's monotonous compared to surfing. Like
you're just pretending you're surfing anyway, so you might as well just be surfing.
Yeah. Right? So like I think I said this on the last pod. Like I just
cast.
As soon as I got my own job and like was on my own, all my trips that I would book were surf trips. Like I had no reason to do anything else. And I also, for me, like I go crazy if I don't have a trip scheduled. Like right now, I don't have anything scheduled, and I'm sort of like losing my mind about it. And
same.
What I've done the past like 5 years probably is like since a lot of my friends like grew up and were like had too much to do, or they couldn't schedule trips, or like impossible to schedule. I just go by myself. And so, my girlfriend, I say expectations because it's just kind of like, I don't really try to toe the line of like a good girlfriend and surf trip. Like, I just tell her like, we're going to the Caribbean. I'm going to surf like 4 or 5 hours a day. Like, and if you want to come, like, you should come. Like, I want you to. But, like, if that's going to be shit for you, then just don't come because you're not going to enjoy it.
And then you leverage that with an alternative trip generally, don't you?
No, it was.
What do you mean? What was Japan?
That's 4 years of me going on surf trips.
So that one trip leveraged 4 years of solo surf trips.
Yeah.
Fair to me.
Pretty much. Well, no, but, like, so she came to, like, Puerto Rico with me. She came to Costa. But like, didn't love it and like doesn't really want to go back to like Costa. And I'm like, I want like a house in Costa. Like, I don't want to go back. Like, it's one of my favorite places.
Yeah, dude.
Busted. Yeah. So that's like a whole thing in and of itself. And so, we plan a trip to go to France, which in my mind is like the ultimate place to like have a girl.
Yeah.
And because she'll enjoy it. There's culture.
Sexy time.
Yeah, sexy time.
Tan your boobies.
Yeah, you can just lay on the beach and have your boobies out for everyone to see. Get the tan on the boobies. We have some Bordeaux. Have a good nice baguette. But so we literally plan a trip like go to Bordeaux, spend a couple like 2 days in wine country, and then go to like stay in Biarritz, which is like not where the waves are good, but like 45 minutes from the good waves. And then like our flight got messed up, and we just like never went. But that was like the attempt to like marry a surf and a cultural trip. I still think those are feasible, but for me, like that's still sort of a concession trip because that's not like totally a surf trip.
Yeah. So for you, is it better to just do surf trip?
And
this
for
is
her.
non-strip surf trip. Yeah, and for her as well.
Yeah, but it just that is more logical. But then that gets into, all right, so what is that? That's a week surf trip for me, a year. Like, that's not enough. Like, I'm the frothiest, hungriest motherfucker. Like, I need to go like at least 2 weeks a year on surf trips.
Yeah.
So that's brutal.
See, Ty, it's interesting because like I remember thinking in my, I don't know, 20s or something, early 20s. I remember thinking like, what girl doesn't want to date a surfer? Like,
Yeah.
like you get if you like start like seeing a surfer, like you end up going with him on like the nicest, or her, I guess, as a guy, maybe a guy who doesn't surf.
Who would do that?
my head's gonna explode.
Those people exist?
I saw that today.
So like, you think like, I always kind of imagine golfers and surfers kind of in the same category, right? Like you
get to go to paradise places.
Yeah, like it's appealing, right?
Yeah.
Like, okay, I'm going to go with my significant other to, this location where that my significant other intends to surf, right? and we're going to eat and we're going to drink and we're going to relax. And like, I'll get like 2 days of spa. Right. And then like, but some girls like, that's not what they want.
I think.
Yeah, it's weird.
I think
I
so.
had a girl one time tell me she didn't like sand, and I was just like,
I don't really like sand either.
We're done here.
I don't love sand either, Phil.
Well, that's why I empathize with it.
I don't know what's in your wetsuit.
Not in your Jap's eye.
That's
I got sand in my Jap's eye.
that's why I empathize with it because I'm like, I don't like hanging out at the beach. Like, so
Dude, I can't.
I don't
I
like
can't do it anymore.
I don't like
used to be
hanging
able
out
to
at
do
the
it. I
beach.
cannot just
No, I don't
sit on the beach and
I
do
don't
nothing.
read really good.
So I empathize with my girlfriend when she doesn't want to just go hang out on the beach. I'm like, yeah. I kind of don't blame you. So it's like kind of just throws a huge monkey wrench in the whole thing. I mean, we went to Costa and she got really into like, we went out and like she tried surfing a couple times. Like I got a foamy and just like sort of like, and she was sanding it. I was nervous. Like she was
You
paddling,
were pushing your daughter in the wave.
not even like she was paddling way out the back and like going like just like had no fear. It was like she was just going on like chest high waves. And I was like, whoa, like this is scary. Ignorance was just, it was gnarly. She was sending it, but I appreciated like the effort too. But at the end of the day, it's just like, it's never going to be, I mean, even if she were to start learning to surf today, unless she turned out to be like a freak athlete, like she's not going to get to head high tubes that I want to surf like anytime
never
soon.
wants to. But there's always, anywhere you go, there's always a spot where there's probably a longboard wave.
I just
Not like mental wise or like,
I don't know.
I'm sure like around the corner somewhere.
So, right, I had a lot of different types of situations arrive at my door when I was managing these resorts, right? Like I had guys show up with their wives or dudes with their girlfriends or like married couples and a newborn, solo guys trips, guys and their wives and the friend and their wife, like all these different situations. And like the reality of it is most of the best surf destinations don't cater that well to the female partner.
yeah.
They really don't.
Yeah.
I mean,
Unless you're like,
it's almost on purpose.
like where Bobby went on his honeymoon, which is like,
yeah, if you go to Bali, like
one of the
there's
nicest-
shopping.
or-
and-
What was Sumba? Or?
yeah, it's like one of the nicest resort in the world, but then it's like on a sick Aki's left.
yeah. I mean, I know, but even just
It's a
like,
one off.
it is. They're out there, but like but it's crowded, right? For your taste as a surfer. Like that's
No.
it can be kind of,
Because they own that wave. Only a couple people surf it. Like,
oh, is it
which is,
exclusive?
yeah, that's also
Yeah.
like a point of contention that like is probably might be toppled soon. Where like the locals are like you want to surf this? Like, I
Yeah,
don't know.
which is inevitable.
Maybe, but as of now, it's a private wave.
So, I just feel like it's really, you have to change. You almost have to make it successful, like as in like traveling with a significant other. If your mentality is like primarily to get good waves, you almost have to let good waves like not be your priority when you're not going to get the best waves of the trip, right? Like,
I mean, I think you guys are, maybe this is why I'm single, but I think you guys are making too much concession on the person you choose. I'm like, you have to be down with going to those locations, which I think is a lifestyle question of, are you willing to get a little rough?
Well, you did. I mean,
to
not even
maybe live in a camper van, like go to the places that are kind of sketchy.
what you're talking about is a different topic. That's like a grindier, like we're going on a more shoestring budget. I'm not even talking about that. I'm talking about like, even if it's a nice resort, my girlfriend still doesn't want to go because there's not like, history and like castles and like stuff to see. There's not culture. Like that's more what it is like than it is like, it's not necessarily
Dude,
like,
I wouldn't want to do that. If you booked oh, hey, you can stay in this $5,000 a night villa for 3 nights. Like, I don't want to do
you could just stay in your
Yeah.
bathrobe the whole time and chill.
yeah. But bathrobes are nice.
Yeah,
It's a nice plush bathrobe.
I think, like there's no real formula for success You know,
Date a surfer chick, which is just so.
I almost think that's
between.
worse.
Yeah.
Honestly, I
If
think
they
that's
don't
worse.
surf good and they want to go to crap, what do you mean?
Surfing's me time. You know, like I don't want to be in the lineup
Yeah.
and like she's like, you were a dick last night.
Yeah.
I'm going on the
It-
next
it
one.
is funny because like I've dated
Yeah, you
a
did,
girl that
but she was crazy. she was crazy. I mean, she was
was a
crazy.
little crazy.
Bitch
But,
is crazy.
Anyway, she like you don't get any time away from each other. You're
Yeah,
with
it's
together
big.
each other 24 hours a day. So
Right.
it's like, yeah, surfing's your dude
It's you
Like,
time. Yep.
get away from each other for a bit.
This is a ridiculous situation, but like, what if there was just some? This is such a impossibility. Not impossibility, but like
Ty,
unlikely.
are you coming out right now?
No, like, no, I mean, it would be sweet, right?
It could be a possibility if we were all just
No, like
Tell us.
if I don't know, like this is just would be the perfect situation. Would be a girl who rips, who's fun, who is like out on the line. I'm just like hooting you into waves, and you're both like just enjoying it, and she's like cool. I mean, that's you know what I mean. That's like a ridiculous, unfeasible thing, but that would be the ultimate, I would think.
I still think like to
And she'd have to be hot.
date a
There's
girl.
a lot of girls who rip, who are cool. In the looks department, maybe not so much.
I just am a firm believer in like having like my like one thing, and to me
fair.
that one thing is like being in the lineup,
yeah.
like not having to talk to like my significant other like right there. You know, you get that you get that at home. So I've always actually thought dating a chick who surfed would be
Taxing.
yeah.
Photographer is the key.
Yeah,
I've
Photographer
seen
or
that
flight
too.
attendant.
or masseuse or like a yoga instructor.
Yeah.
My girlfriend got her yoga teacher license recently, so I feel like we should be able to parlay that into some yoga surf trips. But
There you go.
But the problem with that is like a lot of I think that I just need to do more research, but it seems like a lot of the yoga resorts are like sort of like on like soft, like not so good waves.
Generally speaking, I think they're targeting like couples who do yoga and the dude
Want to
they
learn
just
to
like
surf.
want to ride like a 7.0
As Drew
Yeah.
says, an adult
an
learner.
adult learner. You know, where's a really good
Hey, is there like a slab somewhere around the corner? Like,
I'm really stretched out. I could send it.
Yeah.
Montenevusi in Fiji on the Coral Coast. What?
Was that English?
Say what? What? Yeah! Oh my god! Okay. Can you bring that up, Phil? What?
Dude, you're gonna expect me to know how to spell that?
Montenevusi.
Baba the baby? A baby the Bobby. Baba the booby. Baba the booby.
Hey Siri. Look up Materabusi.
You do yoga on this beach?
I'm at a slab.
Yoga on this beach? Is it head high anywhere?
I wish I could use my phone to show you, but this is a really good combo surf yoga retreat place in Coral Coast, Fiji.
I'll tell you what that still doesn't solve. You do yoga
What?
for an hour to 2 hours a day. I'm surfing for 6 hours. Like,
I know.
What does she
Right.
do for those other 4 hours? Like,
More yoga.
Meditate.
I can only do so much yoga.
It's true. You're 100% right. It does not solve the whole 6-hour difference in
Yeah.
the time lapse. Did you find it, dude?
No, dude.
That's
giving up.
that's why I say like there is no solve other than a girl who surfs, but I can see your side of it too. Is like not having her like out there in the lineup, like so it's like no break from each other. I don't know. Maybe your break is just like doing other things. Like I don't know, but yeah, pretty much it's just impossible.
I mean, you know what? Like, I think I'm super lucky because my girlfriend just likes. She's really.
And you only surf like an hour at a time.
I do surf short, so that's a feather in her cap. but like she's like always been and is like super interested in like marine ecosystems.
Yeah.
So she can like play in a tide pool. She literally has played in tide pools in Nova Scotia for hours.
That's a thing too. Imagine you had like a diver girlfriend or like
Yeah.
some
Yeah. That's expensive.
Or like even just free diving. Or like spearfishing.
Skin diving.
A spearfishing girlfriend. She just comes back with a huge tuna.
That's great.
Yeah, just dinner.
Hey, speaking of skin diving, I hate to derail this conversation, but I don't hate to derail this conversation.
Were you just skin diving?
What was it? Yeah, I was. I was touching my piece. When was the last time you guys watched Endless Summer 2?
I don't know. Decade?
10 years ago.
Really?
I've seen Pat O'Connell more recently than I've watched Endless Summer 2.
That's for sure. He's all over the WSL.
No, I mean like seen him in Human.
Oh, because of Surfing Salt Creek?
Yeah.
So, do you remember the scene when they are on the west coast of Africa in the Atlantic surfing what he called number 27s? It was when they like drove up the coast and they surfed that super big gnarly wave that was really foamy. And at the end he goes, yeah, so we renamed it Weird Reef. Bruce Brown says that. They are like this close to Skeleton Bay in that.
No way.
Really?
Yeah. On his shirt, right? What was the guy's name with the goatee who took him on that trip?
Dude, I cannot remember that at all.
I'll find out. I'll remember. But he's wearing a shirt that says Skeleton Coast, like tribe.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm.
And then they go on this trip up the west coast of Africa, and where they go eat that like prawn dinner, like that lobster dinner, like just on the wave there. Well, I did some research, and they were like literally just a few kilometers from Skeleton Bay.
That's
from what we know is the surf spot today.
Yeah, but that was so long ago. Didn't they show satellite images from over like a decade, and it was completely changed? Like they say it's going to be gone in a couple of years just because it switches.
Gotta go.
It made me watch the Brett Barley flick right away, I'll tell you that. And I was like, June, I'm coming.
Dude, because the currents are super heavy down there. Yeah. So it's like a big spit that comes out.
Yeah.
And that's going to change up. That's not going to be there
That's
forever.
crazy to say. That makes total sense. It's a sandbank. Like it could just be gone.
Yeah, so right. Remember so Skeleton Bay was found because Corey Lopez won the Google Earth Challenge, right?
So that's what I've heard. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so the Google Earth Challenge a few years ago was like, okay, like
imagine seeing that on Google Earth.
You just be like
seeing lines and lines and lines and like
oh my
for just 200, 500 yards of left. You're just
could
like,
you be on a plane fast enough?
Dude.
If you were like a sponsored surfer, you couldn't be on the plane fast enough.
Yeah.
You'd be like, I'm out there. So I was watching it recently. I'm watching Endless Summer 2 on Sunday, and I'm like, holy shit. Like, they have got to be so close to Skeleton Bay because they're on the Skeleton Coast.
How did you find where they were surfing?
Well, I looked up that restaurant.
Oh.
Right? There's a sign in Endless Summer 2 of the restaurant that says something. So I looked that up. The phone number was 17. And then, dude, I'm always doing this shit. Remember when I was saying that about the wedge wave?
You should be like a researcher of some sort.
Some sort of investigator.
Yeah.
Some wave investigator.
Dick.
I was going to say, you know how we were talking about with Andrew in our group chat the other day about how much surf content we get? And he was, like, we all kind of like said, like, I get this much hours per day or whatever.
Yeah.
You know what? I spend most of my time looking at surf content to figure out where they're surfing.
Yeah.
That's what I like. Yeah. Most of my inquiring isn't really about the content. It's about where they're surfing. And like, so I'm interested in like piecing together parts of that puzzle. Like I always look for license plates. I'm always looking at like signage on the side of the roads and surf clips. So I don't know, but they were really close to Skeleton Bay in Endless Summer 2. Whitlock? Was that the guy's name? Ricky Whitlock?
I don't know. Now I just want to watch Endless Summer 2.
Dude, it's so good.
I'm stoked.
Pat O'Connell it gets this one left-hander where Wingnut drops it on him and Wingnut kicks off the back. W-nut. And then Pat O'Connell like rebounds off a right closeout section and comes back and absolutely smashes the lip of the left coming back like bank from the right-hander.
He's sweet. Nobody ever. Someone said this recently. Like nobody ever does a full cutback and then hammers the whitewater.
Not anymore.
People don't do it.
You remember the guys used to just like
Andy,
lay back. Into
AI used to smash
I
it.
feel like Clay Marzo,
Yeah.
given the opportunity, would.
Yeah.
But he probably does. We just don't see it enough out of him.
Kelly would just 360 it.
Kelly does the spinneroo.
Yeah.
God, Clay Marzo is so good.
All right.
I
Sick.
miss him.
Sick pod, boys. Thank you for
It was
joining
good.
us on another
It's Thursday night.
sensual, particularly sensual. Phil's still single, by the way. Episode of
AF.
Sand it.